not going to take my woods walk to Gun Park trail that I take. I'm just going to go in this way as a normal person. It is a really nice day today, though. But we're going to end up in the same place anyways. See, like right here, I'm in the shade. It's nice. So my brother was texting me about this Muslim guy arrested in New York who had a car full of rifles and a whole bunch of ammunition. Might have been on his way to do something bad, probably an illegal. Came across the border. Probably somebody that is a terrorist. We'll find out more. And again, I don't know if what we're going to find out is going to be the truth or not. Hard to tell these days. But we'll go up here to go through the entrance. Welcome to Thorn Crag. Once I'm in here, I'm going to take a right onto the White Trail. I'm going to go up this way. Then we're going to come back around this way onto the yellow, come out about where we started, and I might go back in here and backtrack. So that's what we're going to do today. Should be people walking in here today, I believe. Hi. Those two look like sisters, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. Very nice looking in here today. So I'm going to cut over on this blue trail, head over to the white. Well, really needed this walk in here today. This is going to be nice, relaxing. I'm not going to spend my day talking about politics. I get all worked up over that and I get upset, so I don't want to be upset today. So we got a 1,000-round case of 9mm in the mail today. Some Magtech 115 grain. Good stuff for target range shooting. Target junk, as it's called. Very inexpensive. That 1,000-round case was $233. Can't beat that with a stick. Hard to believe that just two and a half years ago, it was $50 for a box of cheap 9mm during the ammo shortage. Safe to assume we are out of the ammo shortage. Looks like they've been through here chopping up some stuff. They're doing a good job maintaining this after all those storms we had this winter. It was a mess. A friggin' mess. The other thing that's funny is that's the way we usually come in here. But I'm wearing sneakers today instead of hiking boots. And I don't want to pick up any ticks today, which I could anyways. Oh, something just went kerplunk in the water. It saw me coming. Beautiful day today. Oh, something else just went kerplunk. All those little frogs, those little pollywogs, have spawned and been born. So we got a bunch of frogs. Got a bunch of new frogs. So maybe this will be a woods walk gun talk. Since I'm in the woods and I'm talking about ammo, well, I'm going to be doing a review on that case of ammo. Actually, that type of ammo. We're going to do a review on that. We're going to shoot some from pistols and carbines, and we're going to be shooting my Ruger PC9, which is an absolutely fantastic carbine, or carbine if you're so inclined. And we also have the Henry Homesteader that we're going to be shooting and reviewing. That should be a good one. And I'm trying to figure out a way at the range to get better video, because the best way would be for me to be off by myself with it and shoot a video real quick and then go back to the group. So I may do that, because every time I try to shoot video with other people there, they're talking in the background, and it ruins the shot. Unintentionally. I'm not complaining about anybody. It's unavoidable. You go with people, people socialize and talk about things. But sometimes personal stuff gets discussed. Sometimes it doesn't. And any video I've ever seen on YouTube where you're watching somebody talk about something, and there's people shooting in the background, it's always annoying. It's always annoying when people are talking about things, and then you hear F-bombs, and I'm not putting that on my channel, so that's all wasted footage. And it seems like for every hour of footage I shoot, I end up with about maybe 15 to 20 minutes I can actually use if I edit. Now, I could just not care and throw everything on there, but that's pretty low quality. You know, to me, it's like when you go to a restaurant and somebody orders something and the waitress takes your order, and on her way back, somebody that was just there says goodbye to her, and she says something like, "Yeah, that sounds pretty effing awesome. Have an effing great time this weekend." Normal conversation might not be so bad, but when you're working somewhere representing the business you're at, that's unacceptable. So, you know, you gotta maintain a family atmosphere, and you also have to be somewhat professional. I don't even like watching videos on YouTube where at the range and two guys are joking around with each other. It's pretty annoying. Maybe I'm one of the few that bothers, but I don't want that in my videos. You know, I was 14 years old yesterday. I'm not today, so and you can't tell people to shut up you're with. I mean, that's rude. I wouldn't do that anyways. And I wouldn't want them to. You know, it's the point of having a family outing together. But I guess the point is, for production purposes, for every good Paul Harrell take, for example, how many were bad takes because somebody walked by saying the F word, or this so-and-so had the best looking boobs in town and she was working down the road? I mean, it doesn't make for good video at all. So some people like to go to the range and stand around and talk all day. Now, you can do that at home. I'm there to shoot, you know. Shut up and shoot. So, anyway, we'll put something together nice. I want to have some video shots with each carbine shooting some of that ammo. I already have some of the PC9 shooting that ammo, and I already have some of the Canik shooting that ammo that I've not posted on my page yet. I've had for about a month and a half, maybe longer, and we'll get something together. Now, I'm not going to do the chronograph thing. We have a chronograph. Personally, I don't like it, and I don't think half the time it's accurate, depending where the sun is on the sky. It's also a waste of ammo. Why do I say that? Well, because there's 10 million chronograph to 9mm videos on YouTube. It's not adding anything new. If that makes sense. Anyway, I did see an interesting discussion online that made me think. Was originally posted by Iraq veteran 8888. Seems like a nice fella. His video was about, in this day and age, are shotguns still practical for self-defense? And the answer, of course, is yes. And he seemed to agree. And as always, as I've said on here, it depends on your personal situation. Are you in an apartment? Are you on a ranch? Do you have wide open spaces where you can shoot free nilly-willy? Now, if somebody is coming into your house, a shotgun, in my opinion, is better than having an AR-15. Because I believe something like an AR-15 would be better suited for multiple combatants, an out-of-control riot, a natural disaster where gangs of people are going out looting. AR-15 is very important in that situation. And you don't have to worry about over-penetration or hurting innocent people in that situation, because the innocent people aren't going to be out there doing that stuff. They're not going to be standing around watching people do that stuff. They're going to be afraid. So that would be something good to protect your homestead. So my conclusion was, why rely on one thing? It seems like all these videos are geared towards, this is better than that. This is a better option than that option. What you should have is you should have a sidearm. You should have a carbine, something with a short barrel, security, whether it is a AR pistol without the stock or with a pistol brace on it, or an ABR, something short, compact, and close to you like this, so you can maneuver in hallways. Shotguns can give you that. Also, I'm not going to stop by the pond yet. I want to go down this way past the chimney fireplace. So you have a bunch of things like that that people need to take into account. You shouldn't have just one, you shouldn't have just two. If you can have three available, that would be perfect. Now, for example, not to harp on the mass shooting we had in Lewiston here again, but that gave me real life experience in a situation like that, because it was very close by to where we live. He was on the loose, and he literally could have been in anyone's backyard or hiding in their shed. So we live in a rural enough area where that would be possible. So I had never really thought about it till that happened. I always thought, well, I'll just grab my shotgun, maybe my Mini 14. But when push came to shove, do you know what I grabbed and felt most comfortable with? And it was instinct. It was the AK-47. Tried and true, reliable, had fully filled magazines, a few of them, 30 rounds each, a pointed soft point, 7.62 by 39. Tried and true in combat, effective.
Distance 1.5 miles.
And
Time 31 minutes 28 seconds.
which always made me kind of like chuckle when people say that 30-30 is an outdated old round that's useless, because the 30-30 is ballistically pretty equivalent to the 7.62 by 39. You can probably get a little more range out of the 7.62 by 39, but they're both pretty much designed for in-close One's designed for hunting, one's designed for killing in combat, but they're both similar. So for obvious reasons, with semi-auto capability, 7.62 by 39 is a really good round. In my opinion, better than the 223 5.56 AR format for self-defense. So that's just my opinion. You get a lot more velocity out of a 223 5.56, but I don't believe the stopping power is equivalent. 7.62 by 39 hits friggin' hard, okay? And 223 5.56 has a propensity to disintegrate upon impact, which is fine. It will definitely do the job, okay? I'm not saying it won't. But what I'm saying is, and I'll wait till I get past this person. So what I was saying is 7.62 has some very extremely good foot-pounds on impact, and it just came instinctually. That wasn't like what I said when I was like, well, if this ever happens, I'm gonna grab the AK. It's not really what was going through my head. I was like, well, I love my shotgun and I love my Mini 14. Mini 14 does the same thing as an AR, accomplishes the same thing, same length of barrel, everything. So now the differences would be if you're going to go hopping around and jumping in mud and things like that, then the Mini 14 has a propensity of getting junk inside it and gumming up the works, and an AR has more functionality in that situation, reliability. But they're both excellent. AK-47 will run in anything, but this wasn't the situation we were in, so it's really a moot point. The thing for me was, to me, it just made sense that it was going to be perfect for that situation, because I already knew from whatever media I could pick up that was accurate that he had what they were reporting, an AR style rifle. So I needed something comparable to that, and I knew a shotgun would not accomplish that. So there's a point right off the top of my head that you want to have equal to or more firepower than what's coming at you. Granted, somebody shooting at you with an AR-10, you could take care of them with a pistol. But the obvious disadvantages are that you need something comparable. So I figured, well, the AK-47, I'm already familiar with this rifle that we have. I've shot it a few times. It's very reliable. I don't recall it ever jamming. It runs awesomely, flawlessly. It's made by Riley Defense, and it had a tactical stock on it, which it still does, and it has a folding stock. So if you needed to fold the stock in tight quarters in your house, duking it out with somebody, it's a good alternative, because now you have an AK pistol, which is legal in Maine. Some states it's not legal, and neither is the technical stock, because that's adjustable. So it just occurred to me with common sense that the AK-47 was the right tool for that particular job and situation. It was really as simple as that. It's not saying the AK is better than the Mini 14 or an AR-15 or an AR-10. It's just saying for that situation, that's what made sense to me. I had my shotgun there as well, one of them, and have some defense rounds for that. Winchester defense rounds, highly recommend those. They have a slug and 3 pellets with it, and they spread out in a very nice pattern that would take care of anything threatening you. So back to the Iraq Veteran 888. He was talking about how much more foot-pounds and impact you can get from a shotgun slug in a defensive situation than you do from other things. So for close contact, somebody breaking into your house, a shotgun would be ideal, okay? It would. An AK-47 would be overkill. And in fact, sadly, this is the kind of things you have to think about, where if it's somebody just breaking in your house and you're just going to say, well, I'm just going to use an AK-47 for everything, the hell with it. Well, unfortunately, in a perfect world, you could do that, but you can't with Democrats and prosecutors who are anti-gun and their election funds, because the district attorney is on the ballot and he wants votes from Democrats who have more money. Then if you use an AK-47 for somebody breaking into your house, let's say it's a teenager that broke into your house, how are you going to look in court when you're using this AK-47 looking rifle that you know damn well the prosecutor is going to say something like, this is the same kind of rifle, assault rifle, that Russians use. This is what Putin's Russia is using with their soldiers when they're murdering people in Ukraine. And you're going to end up with a jury that doesn't know anything about guns. That's who they're going to pick. They're just going to know what they saw on CNN, MSNBC, that, you know, 50 caliber AR rifles. Obviously, that's, you know, I'm just saying that's what they say. They weigh 100 pounds, they're nailed to the table. These are death machines designed for one purpose, to murder innocent people. So what would you do? Would you rather be in the courtroom because you used an AK-47 and killed a teenager breaking into your house? Or would you rather be there with a trusty, dusty old Remington 870 style shotgun that's been around since the 50s, and it's in common use, and probably people on the jury have seen one, heard of it, they had a grandpa that had one. So that's the difference, and it's really important to understand that. You have to factor in what's going to happen to you. God forbid you should have to defend yourself. That's why I highly recommend not having skulls and crossbones and things on your firearms you use for your everyday carry. Bring that stuff to the range, have fun with it, but don't carry it. It's a mistake, I'm telling you. Any little thing they will use against you. So a perfect example would be also if you have to make a 911 call. As soon as the shooting is over, you best be on the phone with a 911 call. Don't take any time at all to think about it, because they'll use that against you. Well, he didn't call right away. He didn't even try to do CPR. He didn't try to... I mean, unless the person is very obviously dead, there's going to be witnesses. There'll be security cameras. There'll be something, okay? Don't shoot somebody in the back and say that I felt threatened. You know, Maine technically doesn't have a duty to retreat law, but many states do. And even in Maine, if somebody breaks into your house, you could shoot them dead. If they're on the way out of your house, you'll be prosecuted if you shoot them. So you're supposed to be eliminating a threat. Somebody leaving your house is no longer a life-threatening threat. And that's true, that is. So you need to use common sense and spend some time thinking about this stuff, because as I found out during that night of that mass shooting, that could happen. Now, granted, if you killed a mass shooting, I don't think anybody would really care what you used to do it. Oh, yeah, I had this illegal canister of friggin' napalm, and, well, I let them have it, and I think it'd be hard-pressed to have a jury convict you on killing a mass shooter with something illegal or being excessive about it. So you got to use your head and common sense, and if somebody's breaking into your house,
2 miles.
you don't know who it is. It could be anybody. It could be some homeless person who just wanted to steal a pie because he was starving to death. I mean, how are you going to look in court if you used an AK-47 on somebody like that? So there's a lot of very practical common sense argument to use Grandpa's old shotgun. They were used in World War I in the trenches, very effective. And the drawback is they don't hold as much ammo. They don't. My Mossberg, or Maverick I should say, 88, target rounds holds 8+1. Slugs will hold 7+1. So that's 8 rounds ready to go. And the FBI stats clearly show virtually all self-defense and home defense situations, 6 shots or less are fired. So you really don't need a 30-round magazine for a home invasion. Now, that brings up another point. I use the word home invasion, which would be akin to somebody like that mass shooter who has some serious firepower. Now we're talking about multiple people breaking into your house intentionally as a gang for the purpose of committing a crime and robbing you. We've seen plenty of videos of that online. That does happen. And having a 5+1 round shotgun probably would not be sufficient for that situation. That's why I say you should have more than one thing available. And I always have my handgun nearby or on me when I'm at home. So if that happened, I would have at least multiple rounds to at least get to another part of the house where I would have something available that could do more. So unfortunately, in this time we're living in, you can't be too careful. You cannot plan too much. Something that sounds ridiculous in the 80s and you'd make fun of somebody. Oh yeah, this guy's got guns all through the house, and they'll even try to prosecute you on that. That happened recently, actually. I forgot what state it is, but this person, his house got broken into. It was like a home invasion type thing. And, you know, the prosecutor, because this guy shot somebody, was trying to peg him as a gun nut. Oh, this guy, oh my God. He had guns all through his house. He was just waiting for an excuse to do something like this. I mean, he had, you know, after the shooting, we went through his house. He had a shotgun upstairs, ready to go, loaded. He had other stuff in his house. He was just itching, waiting to use it. Well, thankfully, that trial, which was in the news recently, I forget where, I'm sorry, but they actually had a judge that had common sense that said, hey, you know, wait a minute, this is the Second Amendment. It's not illegal to have all kinds of firearms all through your house. You can have as many as you want, loaded, unloaded, whatever, in that state. So that went away pretty quickly for the prosecutor, but the point is, that's what they tried to do. So any little thing, they'll use it against you. Anything. Any little thing you say wrong to 911, So that's why you need to get it in your head to only tell them what they need to know. I don't know if this guy's alive or not. I think I got him. I'm not sure. And he needs help. Got to send somebody here. I'm doing CPR. You know, whatever. You got to make it look like, you know, you care and you're making an effort. Because really, nobody wants to shoot somebody else. Nobody does. And if I had to, I would still feel bad I had to shoot somebody. And, you know, now that brings up the other legal thing in Maine. You're responsible for somebody's injuries during a shooting. That's the law. So it's just the way it is. Yeah, let's say you shoot somebody in the kneecap with a shotgun and they can't work for the rest of their life. Well, the ambulance chaser lawyers, all they're looking at is your homeowner's insurance policy. So if there's a way you can alter your policy to not have that good a coverage for somebody injured in your home, the more you can do that, the better. Because lawyers more than likely are not going to sue you if you don't have money to be sued for. So that is something I learned from my older brother, who works at a law firm, and it actually is a personal injury law firm. So a lot of times personal injury comes from insurance settlements. That's how they make their money. So that's just a fact of life. So I don't want to say, you know, the best thing to do is to make sure the person's not going to get up. But just know that if they do, it could end up being of personal cost to you. They made the law that way. I don't know why. It's not common sense to me. But it depends what state you're in also. I saw one video. I thought it was a bad shooting. You know, this little white guy, you know, he had a firearm. And that's what you should have. But this black guy was having a road rage thing at a gas station. He was mad at this guy for some reason. Or he's mad at somebody else, I don't know. But he was taking his foot and he was cramming it right on the guy's fender on his truck, kicking it, trying to damage his property. And he was a few feet away, at least 20 feet, 15, 20 feet, the white guy with the gun. And he pulled his shirt up emphatically, like you're trained to do. Lift your shirt up hard with your hand, pull up on it straight up hard, and pull your pistol out and use it. Well, this guy pulled his shirt up hard, like the black guy was like 5 feet from him, physically threatening him or something, and he wasn't. And he pulled his gun out and he shot the guy twice. Of course, the guy went down. I don't know if he died or not. But to me, that guy shooting was at fault because he was not an imminent threat. And, you know, it was all on security camera. So the black guy would have been prosecuted for the crime he was doing, which was damaging your property. And, you know, that was his problem, not yours. And now you made it a big problem. And it wasn't necessary. So he overreacted. He was scared. He was scared and he overreacted. And when you watch the video back, it's like, man, that's pretty bad. So things like that can happen. And really, I won't know about that until something happens. But I would hope I would have my wits about me enough not to do that. I don't want to be like that police officer that was walking by his car after he checked the guy he put in the car, patted him down, checked everything, had his hands handcuffed behind his back, puts him in the back of the police vehicle. While he's walking by the car, an acorn falls out of the tree, hits the top of the vehicle, and he mistook it for a muffled gunshot from inside the car, like the guy was in the back seat shooting at him. That was the first thing that popped in his head, because he was scared. And he didn't rationally think about it. He didn't say, wow, I patted him down, he's handcuffed behind his back, he's in the back of my cruiser, where would he get a handgun? Well, maybe I could have missed one. But how many shots were fired? How many shots did he shoot at you? One single shot. This cop runs over, drops down on the pavement, does like 2 magazine dumps into his own car, shooting at that guy in the back seat. Completely ridiculous. And he's on the radio talking to dispatch, talking about, and you know, dispatch was asking him this, that, or the other. He goes, oh, he couldn't think. He couldn't even process anything. He had this complete adrenaline rush, mishandled everything, misjudged everything, and made really bad mistakes. And thankfully, the guy that was in the back seat wasn't shot or killed. But, you know, that guy is no longer a police officer. So even police officers in situations like that behave like human beings, and you're really not going to know what to do until it happens. I only have 2 experiences. One with that mass shooter running around. I wasn't told that the best thing you could do is turn your kitchen light off so you're not a target, but that made common sense to me, so that's what I did. I didn't use my laptop. I had my phone on the dimmest setting possible, and I was trying to get more information. And then I put on my iPad, and I put on the local fire and rescue, because the local police departments now use an encrypted channel so people can't listen. So now when there's things like that going on, you're not getting information that you would have got. So that's also something else to take into consideration. I actually ended up getting more information from a guy on YouTube that doesn't live anywhere near here. He had all the internet reports, he had all the reports, different reports, was very clear and concise and said, this is unverified, but this could be what's happening. This is what this person says. He works for the Lewiston Sun Journal, blah, blah, blah. So,
Distance 2.5 miles. Time 55 minutes 22 seconds.
and that was Agenda Free TV with Steve Lookner, who kind of looks like a Muppet. And he plays an independent. He used to be, the reason why I say that is he used to be associated with RSBN when they were covering Trump, and he decided that he was anti-Trump and he couldn't work for them anymore, so he left, started doing his own thing. So he's not a Trump lover, he's not a Democrat, he's not a Republican, but he's a good source of news when something's going on. He gets the goods. He gets it from Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, other social media leads. He also has a couple of contacts that are reporters. So he gets really good information quickly. And I was actually relying on him for my information, and it turns out everything was accurate. So, you know, I watched the local media on Facebook, and they didn't know what the hell was going on. They did set up a live feed outside the police station, so I was watching the SWAT teams prepare. They had their AR rifles, and they were preparing to go out and do a search because he was still on the loose. They arrested one guy down on Lisbon Street who had a hoodie, threw him down in the road and handcuffed him, and then there's freaking Hannity on Fox News with the footage saying that he's been apprehended. They caught the shooter. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's absolutely not what happened. That was just some guy that was walking around with a hoodie, literally, and somebody called 911 saying, I don't know if it's this guy or not, but he's just walking around, he's got a hoodie. So they went and checked him out and arrested him just as a precaution. And they let him go after. But we were under a shelter in place, and you're expected to stay in your house. And it's fair game if you don't. So that's what happened with that. I'll probably regret walking through this field. This is all ticks and poison ivy on each side. So we are having a pretty good discussion today, at the very least. Pretty important, I think. At the end of the day, for a home invasion, I would prefer a pistol, handgun with hollow points. Something that's not going to over-penetrate and possibly hurt neighbors. I think good old-fashioned buckshot from a shotgun would be good in a house. If you're in an apartment, you might not want that because you have neighbors on the other side of the walls. Don't have that problem where we are. So it all comes down to your environment that you're defending. Definitely would not recommend an AK-47 or an AR-15 for home defense if you're in an apartment. Just wouldn't. It would be effective, but there's a pretty good chance you could hurt other people. You know, most AR rounds are well over 3,000 feet per second. A lot of velocity. And AK-47s over 2,000, 2,300, somewhere around there and up. Shotguns have a low velocity, but they hit hard, and that's important. That was the whole point that Iraq veteran 888 was talking about. You only need what you need for the job. If you exceed that, then now you're increasing other legality problems for yourself. Could be property too. I mean, it could be something as dumb as, you know, somebody on the other side of your apartment that lives next to you in the next apartment. Maybe they have multi-thousand-dollar stereo equipment. Maybe a classical Gibson Les Paul guitar worth $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. You know, grandpa left it to him in a will or something. And maybe one worth $40,000, $50,000. And you shoot through the wall and you blow the gun apart. Well, he's going to want to be compensated for that. And he's probably going to go after your insurance and say, why did he use this kind of gun for that? I mean, that's just stupid. It's overkill. This was needless. I want recuperation. I want to be recouped for my losses. So a lot of things like that can happen. So a lot of things to think about, a lot of things to process. Important to spend some time on that and think about those things. So anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on that, if you have any on that. It's important stuff to discuss. I'm not an expert in anything. I'm certainly not claiming to have thought of everything. So, you know, you're never too old to learn new tricks. You know, what do you think? I gotta do a quick check over on me. Ticks. I don't see anything. I think I'm good. So anyways, I got a good sweat going. That I do have. So I think this has been a very interesting discussion on this walk for today. And I think it is going to be a woods walk, a gun talk. It's either number 19 or number 20. So where am I on here? I think I'm right here. All right. So this is the way we're gonna go. Might actually go down this way. Might go this way. So yes, my personal favorites are 40 caliber or good old-fashioned 9mm hollow points, 115 grain. Specifically so you can get good expansion from a handgun. From a carbine, as far as expansion goes, you'd probably want 124 grain or 147 grain. They hit a little harder and have a higher velocity than out of a handgun. And that's where the 9mm starts to falter in a handgun. So the 115 grain in a handgun is probably, in my opinion, the best choice with some good expanding defense hollow points. That's what I carry, and I also carry the 40s. 185 grain, I believe, is what I bought. Hollow points. I've shot some of those into some things and checked out the remnants after I shot them and got excellent expansion out of them. Excellent. And it's the Speer Gold Dot. Very tried and true. A lot of law enforcement were using those in 40. And 40mm seems to have gone by the wayside a little bit. Actually, quite a bit. Taken back over by the 9mm, it was designed to replace. So the 9mm is one of the oldest handgun rounds available. It's still around, it's still a favorite, it's still the most popular because it does what it's supposed to. And that's all you want. Oh, got chittering squirrels. I think he was giving a warning chitter. Somebody's coming.
Distance 3 miles. Time 1 hour 6 minutes 22 seconds.
All right, thank you, baby. My pocket girl is talking to me. Three miles in the books. This is a great place to walk, it really is. I've been to a couple other places that are bigger, longer trails, and it's just not as interesting as this place. This place is just interesting, and it's well maintained. There's no trash, you know. People respect it more around here. Nice breeze today, even down here under the canopy. I've been through here before where it was hot and humid and there was no wind at all. Completely soaked, dripping wet with sweat. I've noticed a whole bunch of these channels that I've been walking past that they're cutting in here. I think it's for rain runoff, obviously. Something new that I've noticed they've done. There's another one here. They had water damage through here, and I think they're trying to come up with a solution because all that rain we had over this winter. Wow, this is nice. That was the whole point. I wanted to come out here today to relax and enjoy it, and I'm relaxed. I'm enjoying it. You know, and the other thing with shotguns is the different kind of shot you can use. All kinds of different shot. I mean, if you don't want to kill somebody and you just want to use 7.5 or 8 shot or something like that, my home defense rounds are those reduced recoil slugs with 3 pellets in each shell. There's some where you can have just a reduced recoil slug, reduced recoil double-aught buck. I believe those are, oh boy, I'll probably get this wrong, but I believe it's 4mm pellets. I could be wrong. Number 4? No, not number 4. Well, maybe. There's a 4 in there somewhere. But whatever. I'm not an expert on shotgun shot. I just know the smaller the number, the larger the pellet. So anyway, you got double-aught buck, triple-aught, you got all kinds of stuff. You got magnum slugs, a little extra pop. So I think for home defense, I think reduced recoil is much better because, one, it's more manageable recoil when you already have a whole bunch of adrenaline. That's the other thing with shotguns. They might take a little more coherent usage. I mean, you don't technically have to be pinpoint perfect with your aiming, but it's also not like in the movies where you take a shot and it spreads out like a friggin' umbrella. That just doesn't happen. You know, maybe those old black powder blunderbuss type guns, maybe, where they have that kind of like fluted funnel at the end. But shotguns, it's a pretty focused pattern, pretty straight ahead. So, but you can be general ballpark and it's effective, I guess is my point. And you can miss somebody with a shotgun, absolutely. Absolutely. And my personal thing is I would rather have a pump shotgun than a semi-automatic for home defense. Because a pump shotgun, if something goes wrong, there's a jam, something, you can fix it easier. And the semi-automatic, if that jams up and malfunctions, well, what are you going to do, you know? Unless you have a really good quality Benelli or something, that's going to be reliable 100%. Now, my sister-in-law has a Typhoon. I think it's made by Typhoon Defense. It's a Phoenix model. I thoroughly, absolutely enjoyed shooting that. And I definitely want one of those. I don't know how reliable that particular company or model is, but it's modeled after the Benelli, which is a $800 or $900 shotgun, semi-automatic. But those are good. Now, the reason why I bring that up is if you're shooting Magnum rounds in that, there's recoil. And with semi-automatic, you pull the trigger, and then from that recoil, if you pull it again, you're going to be off target. So it's almost like, what's the point of having a semi-automatic if you're going to use potent Magnum rounds where you can't fire them quickly one after the other without a lot of practice and a lot of framing yourself in place? But what happens if you're shooting around a corner in your own house? You're sticking your arms out like this to shoot somebody around the corner, and you got these Magnum rounds with the semi-automatic. That's why I want reduced recoil, because the recoil is very manageable for things like that. So you got to think about these things. Everybody's like, oh, I got to have the biggest, most powerful, I got to have this, I got to have what that guy on that channel had. That was so awesome to watch. Well, I'm sure it was, but what are you going to do when you're hiding around the corner in your house and you got to shoot around the corner? You know, that's why an AK-47 is good, because it doesn't have wild recoil. So, you know, you got to think about things like that. That's another reason why a home defense shotgun, you may want to have a pistol grip on it. Now, my shotguns I have don't have pistol grips, but the grips on them are shaped like a pistol, if you know what I mean. So you can still hold it with that part that goes down like this, and then you have the rest of the stock. So you have your hand on the stock, but it's still kind of a pistol grip. So like you could like physically chop the stock off and you'd have a pistol grip. Those are the kind that I like. That's also why I like my Marlin 336, because it has that pistol grip in there. And the Winchester style has more of a straight stock without the pistol grip. I'm not a huge fan of those on lever guns. A lot of lever guns have those. I'm not going to kick it out of bed. I'm just saying, for my comfort and preference, I like to have that pistol grip built into the stock. That's how I like my shotguns. So, I don't know if there's anything else I haven't touched on. Safety on, safety off. For a home defense shotgun, I usually have the shotgun laying there unloaded. Made sure the safety is off. And I have the rounds attached to the stock, so I could just grab the shotgun and load that. And I realized it would be better to have a shotgun already loaded with the safety on, Because if somebody's breaking into your house, it's quiet, and they're going to hear you loading your shotgun. I get that. That's why my handguns are always loaded. I would prefer to use my handguns first. And I have the handgun fully loaded, chambered, and I use handguns that don't have safeties. That's just my preference. I don't want to have extra things to think about. All I want to care about is, am I going to pull the trigger or not? That's all I want to worry about. I don't want to have an adrenaline rush happen, because I've never been in that situation where I do something stupid, I pop around the corner and go to shoot him, and my freaking safety's on, and the guy sees that, pulls out his gun and shoots me. All right. So, just popped in a new battery. I ran out right here. I was headed that way, but I've decided I'm gonna go this way on the White Trail, because I want to go check out that little pond where the frogs were. I want to see what those egg sacs look like now. So yeah, what I was saying is, you know, I'm one of those people where I don't want to screw around with a safety.
5 miles. Time 1 hour 21 minutes 8 seconds.
So I don't want to mess around with a safety. I just want to take it out and shoot if I have to shoot. Which is also why the trigger I'm using in my Smith & Wesson is designed where you have a little extra take up. It's a little spongy before it breaks, because it wants you to make sure that you are actually intending to shoot somebody. And that's what I wanted. You know, when you're at the range, you're like, oh geez, this trigger's terrible. Oh, it's awful. Well, it was kind of designed to be that way. So in the event that you had adrenaline rush, you're not going to be accidentally firing a hair trigger. So, but again, everybody's different. And the Canik TP9SA I like, because it has that blade safety on the trigger itself. Kind of like what Glock has, because Glocks don't have a safety either. You can get some, but that was the, I think it was the #1 returned handgun after the pandemic was over, was the Glock, because people were first-time gun owners and they would buy a Glock because they heard the name. Police officers use a Glock, so I wanted to have a Glock. Then they buy it and they go to the range and they go, oh wow, it doesn't have a safety. Oh, there's no safety. I don't know, I'm kind of nervous about that. I got to have a safety on there. I don't want to have a round chambered with no safety. You know, they're kind of afraid of it. And everybody has their own threshold on that. I'm fully confident carrying a firearm fully loaded and chambered with no safety. As long as you have a proper holster that covers the trigger guard safely, you're not going to have an issue. So now you do have to be careful when you go to reholster your weapon that something doesn't happen like I had in my video with my Canik TP9SA that I sometimes like to carry with the holster that is the outside the waistband holster, and it has one of those straps that flap over the back just above the grip. And I was dry firing at home with that, practicing drawing it. And when I went to put it back in the holster, I had that strap go right inside the trigger guard, and guess what it did? It fired the handgun with nothing in it because it was empty. But that would have been definitely a negligent discharge. Might have shot myself in the foot. Might have been pretty terrible. I would suspect. So there's a whole bunch of learning experiences like that. That was a couple, 3 years ago. And so anyway, any kind of holster you have should have your trigger guard covered. Period. The trigger should be covered. If you're going to carry it in your purse, there's been instances where lipstick has gotten inside there and pulled the trigger. You don't want your trigger exposed. Always have a holster. Always, always, always. So that even goes for a 2-shot Derringer, and some lady's going to wear it on her garter underneath her dress. They sell garters with holsters made for that. So these days it might be a guy with a garter under his dress, but that behooves the point. So make sure you're safe. And we're going to go up this way. Make sure you're always safe with things. And most firearms are not going to fire themselves. They have a slide safety in the slide. Prevents the firing pin. It's a firing pin safety. So even a firearm with no safety has a firing pin safety. So that gun is not going to fire unless you pull the trigger. Now, that is the benefit of having a striker fired handgun as opposed to a hammer firearm. Now 1911s, there's 3 different safeties on there basically. You have the grip safety, you have the hammer half cock, and you have the safety. So if you're going to carry that fully hammer cocked, which is actually the safest way when it's ready to fire, and a lot of people don't believe that, but the hammer resting on the firing pin, you can slam fire that. But that also has, in the Government 80 series of 1911s, has a slide stop. Not a slide stop, a slide safety that stops the firing pin from engaging when you hit the hammer, when the hammer is resting on the firing pin. So it all depends what you're shooting. My TSASH World War II type GI model has the Government Series 70 series. Does not have the slide safety for the firing pin, and that one with the hammer down or the live round chambered, if you hit the hammer on something or drop the firearm, it could fire. But again, you have the grip safety where the trigger is not going to activate unless the grip safety is activated and the other safety is off. But when the hammer's cocked, whew, heading up here, it's a very safe firearm because the grip safety, you know, you'd have to activate the grip safety and pull the trigger. So that's actually pretty safe, even when it's cocked. Which obviously you can't say that about a revolver. So it's little things to think about. There's another one of those water channels cut in here for drainage. Interesting. We'll see how well that works. Thankfully, we haven't had a ton of rain lately. A few showers here and there. We came up here earlier. I'm gonna head down this way. I didn't go last time. And we'll go down here and see how the frogs are doing. So I hope you found this discussion enjoyable. It gets you thinking about a lot of things. You know, there's some people that like to do things. They like to booby trap their house when they're not at home. It's not a good idea. A lot of things can go wrong with that. Something as dumb as the police having the wrong house. Somebody makes a police call and, you know, they come to your house by accident, and they're knocking on the door and they have probable suspicion for something already. They have the legal authority to kick your door in and do a search. Well, what happens if they kick the door in and you had a friggin' booby trap? And good luck explaining that one. You know, killed a police officer with an illegal booby trap. I don't even know if booby traps are illegal in Maine. That's something good to think about, actually. You know, would it be illegal to set up a shotgun with a rope tied to the trigger on a pulley so somebody opens the door coming into your house, it fires? Pretty sure it is illegal. I would think so. Just for that simple fact that things can go wrong. You know, probably would not be the best idea to do something like that.
Distance 4 miles. Time 1 hour 31 minutes 22 seconds.
So the lady in my pocket says we did 4 miles. I want to do at least 5 today. So we'll do another half mile in here. And this is where all those frogs were. Last time we went through here, last week or week and a half, 2 weeks ago, there was a bunch of pollywogs I could see. Just looking down like this. And I'm not seeing those now. Not seeing those. So, and we've all seen what they turn into. They turn into kind of like those half amphibian looking things where they still have the pollywog tail and they have frog legs. I was kind of hoping to see something like that, but I don't think so. No, I'm not seeing anything. Let's see what we could see over here. I see all kinds of bugs skittering around. Let's see what I can see in here. Oh, big fat frog right in front of my face, right there. Look at him. He's looking at us. He's looking at me like, what the hell are you looking at? Ain't you ever seen a frog before? Look at him. He's just sitting right there. The end of my finger. Hi, little fella. Don't worry, I'm not going to catch you and put you in a jar. No, those egg sacs are all gone now. Very interesting. Oh, I see some. I see them. I see pollywogs. I see a whole ton of them right there. There's a whole bunch. There's at least 100 right there. I can see them underneath the water. Oh, I can see that frog. You can see his throat puffing out on the end of that log. Don't know if you can see that. I can barely see it from here. All right. Oh, there's another one. Wow, that's a big SOB. Look at the size of this one. Right here. I'm sure you can see that. Wow, here's a big fat frog. Pretty cool. So we're gonna head down this way. Definitely had a good walk in here today. Now it looks to me like a lot of this has been cleared out. So I think they've been coming through here and doing maintenance work, because this seemed to be, I couldn't see that water from here before, so they've done something in here. I think they might have gotten rid of some trees that fell over or something. Something's different. And you got a bunch of trees in here that have fallen over. It does look different. Mosquitoes aren't bad today. So well, I hope you found this walk enjoyable. I did. A lot of damn good things to think about. There really is. So I guess my answer for home defense is basically just whatever your environment is. Whether you have neighbors you want to shoot by accident or not, or, you know, for me, I'm pretty much sold on reduced recoil defensive ammunition for shotguns. Double-aught buck. I bought a couple boxes of double-aught buck. One box is Magnum rounds, another one is not, and I got my Winchester Defense, and I got a couple of handguns. AK-47s always at the ready there somewhere, and I think that's about all I would need in the event, blah blah blah, of whatever situation. And the reason why I wanted like an AK-47 for somebody like that mass shooter was, what if he's outside the house shooting in at me? You know, a shotgun's going to be pretty useless with that, shooting out into the dark. You know, I mean, the AK-47, I'd feel a lot more comfortable with that in that kind of like urban environment. I just would. And like I said earlier, I really didn't expect that, but it just came naturally. That's the point I'm making. To me, it was just common sense. That's what I went to for that situation. I would definitely use the handgun for somebody just breaking into the house, or a shotgun. So that's just me. I don't know what you would use. Let me know in the comments. No opinion is the wrong one. You know, I don't like the fact that, you know, my brother was texting me about some Muslim guy in New York that they busted with a whole bunch of ammunition in his vehicle and rifles and everything, probably on the way to do something. I gotta find out more if he was an illegal or if he's some kind of terrorist cell that's here. I'm sure that's going to be looked into heavily. But like most people have said, with all the riffraff that has come over the border this year, last year, and the year before, unchecked, unvetted, it's an absolute guarantee that terrorist cells are here, okay? Something's going to happen at some point. I'm just telling you, arm yourselves. I'm telling you, just please get what you need ahead of time. Take care of your family and loved ones, because as we saw what happened in Israel when Hamas attacked Israel, they'll show no mercy. And I'm sure those cells are here. I don't know if it's Hamas, Hezbollah. I have no idea who the hell came across the border, what they're planning. I do know that that mass shooting we saw in Moscow, about 100 people got killed, that was done by what, 4, maybe 5 guys? I mean, tell me that can't happen here. We know it can. There's all kinds of firearms here already. Anybody sheltering these terrorists, where they're training or whatever, if anybody hears anything, you should mention it. You know, we got dangerous people in this country already, so I think worrying about something happening it's gone beyond that point. I think it's inevitable. Something is going to happen. That's it. So prepare for it. I don't know what kind of style attack it would be. I don't know if it would be like what Hamas did in Israel, where they just went through neighborhoods killing people, beheading them, raping them, burning them alive, whatever they did. Or if it'd be more like a mall shooting or a movie theater, someplace out in public. So, you know, if you can carry a firearm legally where you are, carry one. You know, that's all I can tell you. And make sure you have the right equipment, the right kind of ammo. It's kind of a big deal. It could happen anywhere. And I know I would do my best to try to prevent it from happening. So I don't know what that means, but you know, a lot of people, when that Robert Card guy was running around shooting people here at those mass shootings, a lot of people were scared, and I was pretty calm. I was just loaded, ready. I had my rifle with me, sitting in the dark, getting the information I needed. I was good to go. Whatever was going to happen was going to happen. And then there was another time where these two cars drove by shooting at each other outside of our house. And I wasn't expecting that, and I just instinctively I dropped on the kitchen floor, grabbed my firearm and phone, and I wasn't scared. I was ready. So you never know how you're going to feel until something like that happens. And you know, and that comes from being confident in my ability to shoot. I don't want to be overconfident. I don't want to sound grandiose and braggadocious either, but we shoot quite often, and I'm not horrible at it. But so that kind of gives you a little bit more confidence. You don't have to be afraid. You feel like maybe you have an advantage over other people that don't practice as much, even somebody breaking into your house. So we're gonna walk down this way. Hi, how are you? Well, this place is really nice with all this green now. We could just go straight down there, but I want to cross this little bridge. Let's go across the bridge. Some of those pine needles on here. Slippery. I stepped on them and I could feel my foot move. That's what I don't like about pine needles. So this turned out to be a rather pleasant walk today.
Distance 4.5 miles. Time 1 hour 43 minutes 46 seconds.
So we got 4.5 miles. I guess I'll work my way out of here now. That's another one of those channels they cut in here for water. And that's just for some drainage. They did a good job cleaning up all those trees that fell this past winter and those storms we had. frogs are active today. Hi, how are you?
Doing good, how are you?
Pretty good. Noisy frogs. So we'll go up this way and then head out, I guess. Should just about have my 5 miles betwixt here and the Bat Cave. Well, I had fun today. Interesting firearm discussions. Bugs! Yeah, so I guess a good part of the Iraq veteran 888 is he was talking about a lot of people think, especially online and forums, that shotguns are outdated. They're not good for home defense anymore because of the other things that are available and the types of ammo, and that is just blatantly a falsehood. Shotguns have been around since the 1800s. They have been effective since the 1800s. They haven't changed very much other than making semi-automatic. They tried to make in the 1800s, they tried to make a lever action shotgun. Winchester wanted a shotgun. Marlin had a shotgun that worked well. And Winchester, known for their lever rifles, insisted that their rifle, their shotgun, be a lever action. And it never quite worked well. It had jamming problems. It didn't run smoothly. But Winchester insisted on it, and it stayed that way until somebody came out with the pump. And now they make lever action shotguns pretty well. They work well. But people still prefer the pump. But lever actions are a fun idea. I would not mind owning one. So would definitely recommend a lever action shotgun. I don't know if you'd want to have one for home defense or not. All the hell is this? Oh. Little container of what was prescription cannabis. Doesn't have the person's name on here, so it just has a cannabis container. Gotta have your damn cannabis, right? Can't believe how popular it is. Even with it legalized, I figured it would be less popular because it's not illegal anymore. What fun is that? But anyway, this has been Thorncraig through there, and we've looked at this before with the different bird species. So pretty cool. So I guess we're gonna head out of here now. Gonna head on down the road. Alright, well, I guess that's going to conclude this walk. Thorncraig Nature Sanctuary, Stanton Bird Club, open dawn till dusk. Hope you enjoyed the walk with me. Tune in for the next Woods Walk Gun Talk. Signing off for now. J-Bo signing off. Bye-bye, everybody.